Hello everyone, my name is Rachel Hills. I like to call myself an entrepreneur journalist, and I'm a 20-year-old something girl just trying to figure this crazy life out, and now I've decided to put it in a podcast form. Welcome to the first ever episode of This Is Me Attitude. I am seriously freaking out inside the fact that I actually pressed record on doing this. I've wanted to write and be a part of a podcast for a really long time, and I just decided that now is better than nothing because you just got to go for it sometimes, and I have really learned that in the last bit of my life, and now I'm just trying to do that in one way or another, and showing this podcast, I believe, will be the first part of something fantastic, hopefully not only for myself, but for a community of women. And now to get farther into that, if you have never heard my voice before, my name is Rachel, as said earlier in the intro. But a little background story on myself. I'm originally from a small town in Wisconsin. I grew up with a younger brother, and my growing up wasn't always the picket white fence sort of taking a deep breath. Growing up for me wasn't always fantastic. I am a child of divorced parents, and through that I didn't really find my voice, and that is why This Is Me Attitude, the title, comes in. I want to do this podcast in helping each and every woman that listens to this, because I have a feeling it'll be mostly women that listen to this, to show you a little bit of my background of what I've come from or what I do to have my This Is Me attitude and This Is Me voice. And I'll explain that in a little bit, but that's more about me. And now let's get into today's topic. Why the heck did I name this podcast This Is Me Attitude? This is only like the fifth time I've tried to record this because words are hard. This Is Me Attitude, the podcast, the name, it came from a song, sort of. It came from my background, sort of. It came from a mixture of where I'm at right now and where I feel like I'm going to be. Because I want this podcast to start with me where I am right now, which is in a small apartment that I live in with my boyfriend. And from a year from now, from 2 years from now, however long I'm going to be doing this, because I feel like I'm going to be in the long haul for this podcast, I want to look back and say, wow, this is a time that really changed. And that's how I want all of the women that listen to this podcast to think when they listen and get this insights from me and find their This Is Me attitude. When I say This Is Me attitude, I mean the positive affirmation, go-getting attitude that every woman should wake up with and walk out that front door and feeling like, damn, I got this. Nobody's going to stop me. Nobody's going to hold me back. I can do whatever hard freaking things I want in life. Side note, when I get really pumped up about this kind of thing, some vocabulary that probably shouldn't could fly out of my mouth. But that's the kind of attitude that I want. That's the kind of feeling that I want when people listen to this podcast. That's the kind of ambition that I want women to go after listening to this podcast, because the This Is Me attitude should be with you 110%, 100% of the time. Now, with that being said, I'm human, just like every other woman that'll listen to this and or a man that'll listen to this. So, the This Is Me attitude feeling, the one I'm describing right now, might not always be with you. That is completely 100% fine. I just want you to feel like you can have it most of the time. That you're confident in yourself of where you are, no matter if that's you're just starting out in a career, if you're just starting out in life, or in anything. Be positive in the fact that you can do this. And that's where the This Is Me attitude theme comes from. That's where I'm getting the background of where I want this podcast to go. In the works of it, I also want this podcast to move with me. I am a 20-something-year-old girl that's still trying to figure out what she wants exactly for a career path. So this isn't, oh my gosh, I have this career and that career and I have all this experience and you should do every little thing to get exactly where I am right now. No, this is, holy shit, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to tell you what I'm doing as I go. So then hopefully that can be influential to you, and hopefully it can really make some waves for women behind me that maybe do something similar that gets their this is me attitude in the way that they want, because my this is me attitude is not going to look anything like the next woman's this is me attitude, and her this is me attitude isn't going to look like anything for the next woman ahead of her. I just want to be the light, the voice, the whatever you want to call it, that maybe fires you up every so often. Once I get going on these podcasts, I would really love to make it a weekly thing, and then possibly even more than that, but one step at a time. So with this intro one, I just wanted to come by and say, here I am. We're starting something new. This is a new podcast, and let's find our this is me attitude. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come by and listen to the first ever episode of This Is Me Attitude. I cannot wait to hear what people think of this first one and for future ones, and I would love to see your reaction. Find me over on Instagram at Rachel Fun Hills. I would love to get some tags in those stories and just see what you think. Until the next one, have a fantastic day.